Saleh, it is a pleasure to speak with you. So for our audience, can you please tell everyone who you are, what type of business you run, and where and for how long you've been doing that?
So I'm an entrepreneur. I've done a lot of things in my life, but my main project is a business called Opera Cafe. I also do I'm a trader as well, like in the forex exchange and cryptocurrency. But what I'm known for is being the owner of Opera Cafe in Oxford. It's a small business, been up and running for 5 years now. And yeah, that's who I am.
So for the last 5 years, so obviously part of your business has been deeply impacted by the whole COVID situation since 2020. So what major things have been different pre-COVID and where you are now, and how has that impacted your business?
Okay, so pre-COVID, it was the economy was different. The social norms were different. The demands, customer demands and expectations were different. So I would partition it to 3 phases: pre-COVID, throughout COVID, and post-COVID. Pre-COVID, as you would know, we lived in a commerce world as we know it, as we knew it at that point. And then I was lucky enough to be one of the people who decided to still trade accommodating COVID-19 restrictions throughout the pandemic. So we got like a first-hand experience of how to deal with the with customer expectations, with the new kind of like regulations. Everything is changing. It wasn't imposed on us as a lump sum. It was imposed on us as it happened. So we were very lucky about that. And then there is the post-COVID, when everything is kind of like opened up and the world decided that they will treat COVID-19 as the flu, and we're just going to learn how to live with it moving forward. Obviously, everything's changed. Customer expectations has changed. How easy or how hard it is to get certain supplies has changed. Now, even recruitment and human resources has changed. For example, like one of the perks that COVID has provided is that remote working became more acceptable, more popular, and available, to the point where when you go and let's say in any major recruitment website and look for a job, you would usually have the ability to kind of search with, office work, hybrid work, or remote work. And that was after COVID. Before COVID, that was not, it wasn't an option. The common practice was, you get hired, you go to an office, you do your work there, and you go on. And but now that's became the norm. So obviously, for an industry like mine, hospitality, that affect us because now we are competing with remote working as well. So it's harder to recruit. And in a country like England, where they just Brexit also had happened just at the time of COVID-19, it made human resources more of a challenge. So definitely, this is one of the areas. So the interesting bit is that business is there for taking. Like before COVID, I would say the competition was how to get the business. Now the business is there for the taking. The question is, would you be able to provide the supplies and maintain your human capital to service that business? And that's an interesting situation.
Well, how do you mitigate that then? How do you compete with these people who just need or want remote work, hybrid, and for you personally, because there's not enough robots yet to be able to replace the humans for preparing the food you make. What sort of incentives do you give people to work with you?
So what we've done, we kind of started investing heavily in human capital. Obviously, and naturally, what this will result in, it will be, higher salaries, higher wages. The issue in our industry is that the industry was designed in a way to make it very tricky to be able to pay over a certain threshold. It's just how, the value added tax work, it's 20% of your total revenue, and then you have to pay corporation tax, and that's 20% of your net profit. You have to pay pension, for all your team. It's just endless. As a small business, we're okay to kind of adapt to that. But I do feel it's more challenging for larger companies, because for this to work, a lot of industries, not only hospitality, but like a lot of kind of hands-on industries, will have to be redesigned to almost get like not subsidies in terms of tax breaks from the government, just to recognize that these industries are very important, but because of the world and the technology we live in at the moment, they are at disadvantages. I think this what we will see in the years coming. The question is, who will survive those years to accommodate for that change? Because it cannot go on forever. It's impossible. Like we had, like in the United Kingdom, there are retailers and restaurants and big hospitality companies, big fashion houses, big malls. Like they have been trading, since the 1850s. They closed down within the last 3 to 4 years, just because the economy is not really accommodating. It's not natural for these institutions to flourish and grow anymore.
Well, that leads me to ask you then as well, since COVID, how have you thought of maybe other innovative ways to stay profitable? Meaning, in your industry, margins are already razor thin. I mean, considering how much you pay for supplies, how inflation eats into what you purchase for your materials, your rent, your utilities, your human capital. What have you been able to do, or are you prospecting to do, to remain and grow your profits?
So any business will have to be very creative to kind of adapt and to make their balance sheet and financial statements, positive. And there's always something to do. For us, we kind of like downsized our menu a little bit, and then we focused on volumes, on downsizing medium. So we just, instead of producing, let's say, 10 products, we decided to produce 6 products, but we will just make more of them. Unfortunately, this will fix the balance sheet, and it will fix, your income statement. But as an industry overall, it's a bit of a shame, because then the consumer will not get the pleasure of creativities and that might come up from the industry. Like, instead of having this very sophisticated, colorful dish once in a while, they would just have something less. And that's a bit of a shame. Like, I would like, as a business is literally an extension of your passion, of who you are, and to feel that you might be limited because of overwhelming forces that and a lot of business owners feel this way at the moment. You know, they're just being handed this economical situation, and industries they has been designed just after the Second World War, and they are expected to abide by the laws, by, you know, by how everything was designed. For example, it was only recently where online businesses got to pay tax as same as high street retailers. But for a lot of years, high street retailers had to compete with online businesses. They had to compete with websites that would not contribute necessarily to the society they live in as high street businesses. And then what that happened is that the death of high streets. And I feel a similar, the post-COVID economy is kind of like biting into a lot of kind of companies that that's just like, they're just not designed, and they're too big to kind of adapt to a quickly changing economy as we live in now.
What are your customers expecting from you now more than, let's say, before COVID? What are their particular needs, interests, demands from you as a business owner and for your particular business that you think can help better service them now in this era that we live in?
At the moment, like so they do expect that we, you know, we are aware of their health and safety from fellow customers. So for example, like when a customer come in, they expect to, you know, for them to have a table that is socially distant from the other customer. So this might sound insignificant, but for a restaurant, you pay per square foot. So if you cannot, you know, what the way it's designed, you would get as many tables as conveniently possible to an X number of square foot, because you pay rent on that, and you pay the, you know, the local authorities will also charge you business rates on that. So the business rates didn't change, the rent didn't change. However, the expectation is you would fit less tables in that X number of square foot, because you have, you know, each customer will have to be socially distant from the customer next to them. So that's one thing. Another thing is, obviously, you know, the team will have to be aware of COVID kind of good practices, like having your masks on, washing your hands, you know, more regularly than you are trained for, handling food in a certain way. And that's, you know, it is fine, it's absolutely fine, but then it also has its emotional labor on the team. It became more of emotionally and physically exhausting job. You almost became like you had this layer added to your job where you have to care about one thing, you know, a serious issue that is at the moment we live in, right? So obviously that's different from before COVID. It's very, very different from before COVID-19. Yeah, and it's, I wouldn't say it's one particular thing, but I would say it's a lot of factors that definitely made our world different. When you go out and dine, it's different. It's very different. It's very different. And even supplies, like, you know, we lived in a globalized economy, and because of the pandemic, you know, shipping has become an issue, and so now, like, yeah, we cannot get hold of a lot of our supplies, and if we do, there would be a higher rate. So that's obviously, you know, would make you a little bit more creative on what you would offer, or limited on what you would offer and what you wouldn't.
I mean, it's really interesting, your situation, because you are in particular circumstance with your type of business, the nature of what you do, that, traditionally require a lot of, in-person and, consideration of physicality of space, dimensions, the way you prepare food, the way you, really go about your business in general. And your situation does have really that very direct impact, as it would many hospitality companies in your situation. I mean, you can't essentially just become a remote worker and just say, okay, well, I'll do everything on my laptop. You can't do that at all. So there's so many mitigations of risk that, and, assessment of situations that have to be under your purview at all times, it seems like.
Yes. It's a bit tricky, but I think we are very lucky because we have wonderful team, and the team came together throughout COVID. So our team is all the people who decided to work through COVID, and they're still part of the team now. But the issue is we are expanding. We're opening a second branch now, and in a couple of months. So we're having a recruitment round, and this is why I'm like, human resources is a massive issue. Like
in Mexico City, I heard. Is that right?
Sorry. Oh, one day, brother. One day. You could
do that. Absolutely, you could.
Yeah, one day.
And speaking to that particular notion that you just brought up, I was going to ask you, just to finish this conversation, what is on the prospect and horizon for your company, and what are you excited? Which endeavors are in the pipeline for, that makes you really motivated in what you're doing?
So at the moment, the strategy is to learn and adapt, and it has been the strategy for the last 2 years, and it has been extremely effective and successful because we were one of the very few companies that managed to survive the pandemic through our geographical region. And I do feel that, it was an element of listening and, to what the market wants, and going back to your basic kind of like business 101, what would the customer want from you? That kind of like, and it was that really listening to just like what is in demand now. And it was luck as well. So for me, and the oath that I gave to my team, that we would make this company grow within the next couple of years to have more branches, nationwide, hopefully, we're just gonna march forward. We have a very successful business model. It performed brilliantly throughout very challenging economical times, and we were just going to expand on that, basically, and we were just going to ride those challenges. And I do feel that it's true that we have challenges, but at any era of time you will have challenges, and you just have to ride through them. People will still demand services to live in a civilized society. We just need to understand what those services and products are, and we need to deliver them within the economical means of the public. And I think as far as we understand that, and as far as we manage to deliver that, we'll always have a place in the market.
Oh, that's excellent, Saleh. And it seems, that you as a leader, have a very circumventive way of approaching this whole situation, providing a hopeful opportunity for the future for your business and your employees. And I really wish you
the employees did. Like, what made me come out of my home, and when the country was in a lockdown, and what made me come out of my home and going there on my own, having a team of having a team of full chefs, baristas, but I was literally there on my own because obviously it's a pandemic. What made me go there is my employees, I could not have the audacity to let any of them go. And I think today, this is what's also driving me to kind of make the company grow, is that I cannot have the audacity to not to provide growth to, career growth to the people who committed to the company. And whatever means necessary, really. And this is the driver. This is truly the driver.
Well, I mean, you sound like you're going to take your company in a really, really incredible direction. You're being very resilient since the beginning, really, with all the changes that happen on a macro and micro basis within the economy. So I congratulate you, Saleh. And where can more people find out more about your incredible business, see pictures of your delicious food, follow you? Where can they link up?
So people can go to our website, www.oxfordcafe.oxford.co.uk. We also have an online shop there with our local artists, our local writers of Oxford. They can, order the kind of this amazing things. We also have an Insta page with Opera Cafe Oxford. They can see, they can follow us. Basically, we're very active there about the day-to-day of cafe life, which is really, really exciting.
Nice.
Hopefully we'll be launching some great news with a second and a third branch very soon. We're trying to secure a major financing deal at the moment. We're almost there, and hopefully once that's done, the rest is history.
And it will only be history when your excellent business is on a beach here in Mexico that we can all go to.
Hopefully, my brother, hopefully. That would be the day. That would be the day, right? If I can have a company in Mexico where my friend can come into my institution and enjoy a product, that would be an amazing day.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
In all fairness, it will be very hard to compete with the amazing Mexican food. My God, it's a different league. It's a totally different league.
Well, I've had the pleasure of trying yours, and I'll say it's quite competitive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like the humbleness in you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Saleh. It was a great conversation with you, and I encourage all of our viewers to please check out his website and find out more about his business. Thank you again, Saleh.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.